No, they want to make a deal badly, and we'll see if we get there. If we get there, they can't have nuclear weapons. It's very simple. But what's not to submit? So they had a Navy with 159 ships, and now every ship is blown to pieces. They want to make a deal. We've had very good talks over the last 24 hours, and it's very possible that we'll make a deal.
Now, in a moment, we'll be live in Tehran. First, though, let's head to Washington and speak to our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett. Kimberly, what more do we know about the real status of the talks between the U.S. and Iran?
We know that deliberately the Trump administration is being somewhat vague on where things stand, given the fact that they can change so quickly. But what is being widely reported here in the U.S. is that there is now an effort underway, a framework of understanding that may include up to 14 points that is intended to try and restart negotiations, that this memorandum would put in place a 30-day period for negotiating and diplomacy. Now, as you mentioned, this is something that has been put forward, we understand, by the United States to the Iranians. They are reviewing it now in Tehran, and the world awaits the response, which is expected to come via Islamabad or the Pakistani mediators that have been consistently working between the two sides in a running dialogue since the last round of talks, direct talks, wrapped up many weeks ago in Pakistan. So that's where things stand. Again, they are subject to change, but what we know from the U.S. president as he was speaking in the Oval Office not long ago is that he said that there has been a lot of progress, great progress, he said, and that he believes Iran wants to make a deal.
Also, though, earlier on Truth Social, Donald Trump posted that if Iran doesn't actually agree, he's threatening now to start bombing again. It's not the first time, though, that he's been issuing threats to Iran. Kimberly, what can we actually read into what Donald Trump is saying this time?
Well, I think that this time is very similar to the previous times where Donald Trump has fallen into a sort of predictable pattern, and this is recognizable yet again. What he's done is escalate the tensions between the United States and Iran publicly. He has created hard deadlines that they must meet. He has threatened overwhelming force if Iran does not meet his arbitrary deadline, while at the same time leaving open the possibility of diplomacy. What this is the U.S. president essentially building on his Truth Social post from Tuesday, where he is exerting maximum pressure. He has paused the Project Freedom, or the escorting of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, by the United States. And as we heard from the Secretary of State on Tuesday, has ended Epic Fury, the military campaign. What all of this is doing is leaving open the space for diplomacy, while at the same time the U.S. president believes that through the military action of the United States that Iran has been not only economically but also militarily weakened, and as a result the U.S. looking for Iran to make concessions.
That's our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett, reporting live from Washington. Thank you so much, Kimberly. U.S. Central Command says it's stopped an Iranian-flagged oil tanker from trying to breach the naval blockade. Now, this is at least the second time that U.S. forces have disabled vessels linked to Tehran. CENTCOM says in a statement that an F-18 fighter jet fired on the Hasna, disabling its rudder. It was in international waters and was said to be en route to an Iranian port on the Gulf of Oman. CENTCOM says the crew failed to comply with repeated warnings. Earlier, Iran's Revolutionary Guard announced a new protocol for the Strait of Hormuz. Vessels will have to make payments in Iranian currency to pass through this waterway. Countries involved in the war will have to pay for any damage to Iran before they are granted a transit permit. Let's head over to the Iranian capital now and speak to Almigdad Al Ruhaid. Almigdad, what are Iran's red lines here, and what's actually up for negotiations in these talks with the U.S.?
Well, actually, the Iran headlines over the past few weeks become increasingly clear when it comes to their stance and their position, and to the progress that they're going to make in the negotiating table. And the top of that, it becomes with the nuclear program. They are saying that it's their right to enrich uranium in the peaceful measure, and also when it comes to the issue of existing highly enriched uranium stockpile, they are saying that we will not hand that stockpile to their enemies, as they described, as they said, and also they are sticking every sticking point with the sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, sovereignty over their territory, about their military position and military stance on the region. They are speaking about the source of security, the new regulation to be a source of security here in the region, and also urging the Gulf states to not rely on the presence of the United States bases, because they are saying that the presence of the United States here in the region is a source of insecurity rather than their security. So they are speaking clearly about the red lines, and also they are lifting something to negotiations. And the answer here, it's about 14-point plan. It's focused on the agreement to reach fully end of this war with the guarantees that will not gonna happen again.
Almigdad, the Strait of Hormuz, once again now it's being promised for open navigation, but what are the conditions now that Iran is placing on any kind of passage by vessels through that strait?
So the IRGC Navy is saying that the strait is open, but under their condition, under their mechanism, under their control. Any vessels must assign to IRGC Navy and also to the Persian Gulf Authority to designate a safe route, a safe corridor to pass through this strategic choke point, and with the fully coordination with the IRGC Navy to have a permit, transit permit, and also it's kind of a strategy from Tehran to guarantee a revenue, a toll, a fees from this transit, because they are saying that we need a repreparation of the impact of this war. So it seems like a strategy for them, and now they are implement that strategy. And also we saw yesterday that they are releasing a map of geographical control, speaking about tightening their control there. And it seems like this point came here from different leadership, especially from Mohammed Baqir Qalibaf and also from Abbas Araqji in his visit today in Beijing, speaking clearly about the position of the Strait of Hormuz, the condition in the Strait of Hormuz, and also came from Mohammed Baqir Qalibaf, head of negotiator, speaking yesterday after the escalating measures between the United States Navy and the IRGC Navy. They are saying that there is a new equation here, and it seems like they are implementing this equation on the ground by releasing this body to control and to administrate that choke point. And it seems like right now there is a new regime on that waterway.
Almigdad Al Ruhaid, line for us from Tehran. Thank you so much for that report.